The warm sunlight poured through the curtains, illuminating dust particles dancing in the air. I was home alone, working on my laptop, lost in a sea of emails when I heard the familiar click of the front door opening. Then, Daddy, I'm home. My 9-year-old son walked into the living room, his backpack slung over his shoulder. I looked up, smiled, and kept typing. But then I noticed him. He wasn't heading towards his Lego corner as he usually did after school. Instead, he stood there awkwardly, shifting from foot to foot. I frowned, sensing something was off. "Hey, buddy, you okay?" I asked, finally tearing my eyes away from the computer screen. That's when I saw it. His lower lip trembled ever so slightly, betraying the distress he was trying so hard to hide. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" I put my laptop aside and got up, walking towards him with open arms. But before he could reach me, his facade crumbled. Tears welled up in his beautiful brown eyes, and he burst out, "Why am I stupid, Daddy?" His words struck me like a punch to the gut. I froze, my heart shattering into a million pieces. Why am I stupid? Where did that come from? Was it something I said? Something I did? 1,000 questions raced through my mind, each one pulling at my heartstrings. Before I could respond, he broke down, collapsing into my arms, his small body racked with sobs. I held him tight, rocking him gently, whispering words of comfort and love into his soft, silky hair. As he cried, bits and pieces of the story emerged. It all started with the Lego set he'd been working on for weeks. He wanted to surprise me with a Lego replica of the Millennium Falcon, a tribute to his favorite Star Wars movie. But no matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't get it right. The instructions seemed like a foreign language, and the tiny pieces refused to fit together. Frustration mounted, tears welled up, and before he knew it, he was overwhelmed, defeated by the Lego beast. In that moment of overwhelming despair, he asked his big sister, who was busy painting in her room, "Why am I stupid?" Those 3 little words, a dagger to my heart. They echoed the sentiments I'd wrestled with for 9 long years. 9 years since the day my wife, his mother, had passed away, giving birth to our son. 9 years of battling the world's judgment, the whispers, the pitying glances, all because our son was born with Down syndrome. It hadn't been easy, but my son had shown me the true meaning of strength, resilience, kindness, acceptance. He had taught me more about love than I could have ever imagined. As I cradled my crying son, I realized it wasn't just Legos that were causing the tears. It was fear, the fear of failure, the fear of not being good enough. Looking into his tear-filled eyes, I saw myself. I saw the countless times I'd failed, not just as a father, but as a husband, as a friend, as a human being. Failure was part of the journey, a stepping stone on the path to success. It was okay to make mistakes. What mattered was how we picked ourselves up, brushed the dust off, and started again. I wiped the tears from my son's face, cupped his chin, and gazed into his innocent eyes. "You are far from stupid, my love. You are brilliant, amazing, and the kindest soul I know. You're my hero, my inspiration. I love you, my boy." He looked at me, his eyes searching, and I knew he understood. Understanding filled him, chased away his fears. Together, we faced the world, hand in hand, ready to take on any challenge that came our way. One day, he'd learn that the greatest empires were built brick by brick, that the most beautiful works of art were once just a blank canvas. I knew he'd go far, not because of his physical abilities or intellectual prowess, but because of the strength of his character, the unwavering belief in himself. With every Lego masterpiece he created, with every obstacle he overcame, he was building the foundation for a future filled with possibilities. It wouldn't be easy, but with love, support, and a whole lot of patience, he'd get there. And as I watched him run off to finish his Lego adventure, I knew that the only stupidity in this world was thinking my son, with his kind heart and infectious smile, was anything less than perfect.